I'm here with Craig Fahner today. And Craig, thank you so much for being here. You're owner, broker, manager of John L. Scott offices. What would you like to talk about today?
Well, thanks, Jeff, for having me. I appreciate it. We were just sitting here talking about interest rates and kind of where they're going and what we're foreseeing for the future. And, we had a lot of people saying that by now, this time of this year, we were going to be back in the fives and, it was all going to be okay. And, now here we are sitting here talking about 8-9% interest rates. So, it causes a little heartburn when you start talking about the market and the home buyers, especially. And so I know you guys have some great products. We've been talking about maybe doing some classes on, building your business through an interest rate, kind of situation that we have here, and who, is going to prosper in that and who's not. So.
Absolutely. Well, the one thing I have to say about interest rates is, how did this happen? It has been absolutely nuts, watching the rates rise. And, I think most people don't realize that, and people don't realize this because they're only looking at the last, maybe 5 years. But the average interest rate in the U.S. over like a 60-year period was around 8%. 8% is an average interest rate. Now, I'm not quoting rates here because we can't do that. I shouldn't even mention an interest rate without an APR, but I was just saying that was what the average mortgage rate was over the last 60 years, was somewhere around there. Yeah. So depending on, the type of transaction that you're doing, what kind of loan it is, how long the loan is, if it's a 30-year, 20-year, or 15-year, all those things can change in interest rate. But we're in an environment right now that is the highest interest rates that we've seen in over 20 years. And so people are coming to me and saying, Jeff, how am I going to be able to afford a home? What do we do? What type of loan should we do? And there actually are some different options out there right now. So, the one thing that I would really focus on for buyers is the fact that, right now, we really have a huge opportunity for buyers because we're looking at this being a buyer's market, because a lot of buyers, because of the higher rates, are sitting on the sideline. So, a year ago or 2 years ago, it was like you'd put a property on the market. How many offers would you get on a normal property?
5.
Yeah, it'd be like 5 offers within a week or two.
Yeah.
And so just crazy. Now, homes sit for a week or two on the market, and what are the sellers going?
Sellers are like, what's wrong with it?
Oh my God!
What are we doing wrong?
It's been on the market 3 days now, and we haven't seen an offer yet. So the market has really changed, and we're really looking at much more of a opportunity for buyers to come in. And while they might get a price reduction, but they also might get a seller concession. And seller concessions can really help buyers in many different ways. One of the ways is what we call it a rate buy down, or they call it a 2-1 buy down or a 1-0 buy down, but basically it lowers the interest rate effectively for the payment for the first 1, 2, or 3 years, depending on what type of product you use. A 3-to-1 buy down would reduce an interest rate by a full 3%. And that is, I can't quote rates here, but the fact is a 3% reduction in interest rate, depending on what your loan amount and what the interest rate is, that could be huge. It can drop somebody's payment in a huge way. Now, we're not going to qualify a buyer on that super low rate. We're going to qualify them on the fully adjusted rate. So we're not going to put people into loans that they're not going to be able to afford down the road. But what we are doing is we're doing the type of loans that help the payments be much more affordable for them for the first couple of years. The hope, of course, here is that most of the people are saying that interest rates are going to come down as inflation comes down. Mm-hmm. And what the Fed has been doing by raising the prime interest rate is they've been forcing those mortgage rates up along with those. They're trying to slow down inflation. as inflation comes down, and it has been coming down. It was up around 8%, and it's down around 4% right now. So it's heading in the right direction, but the Fed is feeling like that direction hasn't happened fast enough. So they still keep raising. They paused at this last meeting. We'll see what they do at the next meeting. Yeah. But for right now, there are some creative solutions out there, and you're still listing homes, aren't you? I mean, people are still wanting to sell homes.
Yeah, and I think, the smart people, our realtors are really, having those conversations with sellers and talking about, okay, we're going to put it on the market for this, and this is what we are hoping to sell for. If we need to do a price reduction, maybe we look at instead, making those concessions so that we can get a buyer in at a lower rate instead of lowering the price, and so that's definitely, I think, a conversation that we all should be having as realtors with our sellers, is saying, hey, what's going to be the alternative if we do in fact need to go down in price or, make an adjustment in order to get the home sold. So
absolutely. So there's, the upshot is there's a lot of opportunities for buyers out there. We have some great programs that are actually 100% financing programs that are out there right now. Yeah. So, I thank you for being on here today. Thank you so much for asking me questions about the rates. Sorry about my startling reaction there, but you look at the rates today compared to a year or 2 years ago, and it's kind of crazy. But to realize that those higher rates have actually opened up some opportunities for buyers is a good thing to know.
Thanks for having me, Jeff.
All right, thank you for being here, Craig.